Welcome to Real Talk. This is Bell & Company's podcast, an attempt to cut through the BS and the white noise that's mainstream media. We're talking to people that are doers, experts, but real ones, not pretending virologists that seem to spring up everywhere. And today we've got the pleasure of speaking to the MD of Loans Warehouse, Matt Tristram. Hi Matt, how are you?
I'm very well, so yourself?
Very good. How's sunny Watford?
Sunny Watford is a little bit overcast, but not as hot as it has been. With welcome relief, even though we are back in an air-conditioned office.
Very good. We've got the obligatory Belfast rain here today. You get 1 day a week, but a lot of people say the weather in Belfast is bipolar. So today we've got the downside. So Matt, you are the MD of Loans Warehouse. Is that your title? Or?
Co-founder, director. Never really been that fussed about titles. So
very good.
It's a factual one.
Very good, very good. And in terms of what would you say you are? Are you creative, a seller, a doer? How did your
I like to think a bit of all. I am probably the sales side of the business, touch of creative. My business partner is very much compliance, HR, the sort of factual stuff that sometimes maybe needs a little bit more finesse.
Absolutely. I think I'm not too dissimilar to you. In fact, I'm not allowed in HR apparently now. So but my good lady wife runs that, so it's quite easy to cover there. So I've been watching quite a bit of what you're doing on social media in terms of products. You're in awards season by the look of it.
We are.
Yeah. Give us your list. Just go back a year, though. Let's not go back to 2013.
So we've won awards at 3 so far this year. The What Mortgage Awards for Best Secured Loan Broker for the 8th year. We scooped 2 awards at the Financial Reporter Award,
including
the 7th straight year for Best Secured Loan Broker, and we also scooped Best Personal Finance Broker, and was very proud to win our 3rd Money Facts Award for Best Second Mortgage Broker.
And the Money Facts one, is that they're all very good. Is Money Facts? It's more the industry go-to award ceremony in this, or is it?
I get in trouble if I pick one above the other. Money Facts is certainly the most established brand within there. Financial Reports is very much an industry brand. What Mortgage is a consumer brand, and yeah, Money Facts is been around for many years.
Yeah, a bit more kudos. You can't say that. I'll say it. A bit more kudos, maybe. But yes. Matt Tristram didn't say that. And when you have it, just so it's come to my head there, it's rather childishly. So obviously there's no awards dinner. But yes. Do you sit in your office with a table of 10 of you and get sort of alongside a couple of bottles of red and celebrate and sit there and
the couples of bottles of red maybe when we get home, and I must admit I will text the other half, and there'll be a bottle of bubbly if we win. The couple of them, I think the Money Facts one, just to mention it, they were coming out every 10 minutes on social media and they had a timeline.
So
we were watching and waiting for our slots on the Money Facts one, and we had a few of us sort of, obviously we can't all gather around a laptop. And do Zoom calls. We try to keep a couple of meters apart if we're sharing a laptop. But everyone was watching, and we had a little minute of silence while it came out. And that you got that nervous feeling.
Did you still?
Yeah, definitely. We got that nervous feeling, and fingers crossed as they rolled through. So I got to give them praise. They've had to completely adapt what they do for a lot less profit, more than likely. And I think the best thing to say is we still got that little moment of anticipation.
Yeah.
We're not 3rd, that's good. We're not 2nd. Oh God, don't be that. We're not even in that jubilation.
You're in. Yeah. Well done. And I say keep gathering those gongs, those industry gongs. Whilst we're talking about your business, Matt, so give us a rough idea. So pre-COVID, right? So in terms of Christmas and New Year, where the business was, just in rough terms, where you are now. Not necessarily on the finances, in fact, in terms of business, sort of number of staff and things like that. So you got your Christmas scenario, everything's good, New Year. There was a great thing the other day. Somebody said 2020 looked both ways on the road and got hit by an airplane. so with that back, where were you pre-COVID and where are you now? How are you seeing?
Well, we've been around for 14 years as of this year. So we're quite an established business. We deal with a lot of partners that introduce business to us. So we had spent the last 2 years with the dreaded Brexit words, and that was obviously affecting business, not day in, day out, but it was an overriding factor in growth in some of the companies we deal with. And then Boris turns up at the end of last year, gets rid of the other party, gets Brexit done, and you started 2020 with great optimism. We've been building our personal loan side of our business. That for the last year has been a massive growth part of our business, and everything looked rosy. We had great ambitions for 2020, and then of course COVID hit. Like I look at COVID, I don't know if you want to talk about it now.
Yeah, sure.
I look at COVID very much in stages. So you had March, where you started to hear what was happening in China, and you thought that won't happen to us. And then as March progressed, that true British spirit was, well, I won't be working from home. I'm not going to lock down. And it's like how we run a call center. If you want to not jazz it up, we run a call center. How do you work a call center remotely? It's never something that comes to mind. And then the reality started to come that this might be something we had to consider and put into our plans. And March was all about our IT team pulling together and making it possible that our staff could work remotely, because honestly, it's something we had never seriously considered prior to March this year, and they did a great job. And we were still very confident that we wouldn't go into lockdown, or that we would probably remain working provided we were allowed, until Monday the 23rd. And I remember that day very well. We practiced, we'd had people working remotely in little bursts for a day, but then come back to the office. And that Monday just felt different. Everyone returned after the weekend and they were nervous. And I remember a member of staff coming up and just tapping me on the shoulders. It's like, come on, you're not supposed to do that. And we actually sent everyone home at 12 o'clock on that Monday to try with everyone at home at once. And 4 of us stayed in the office just to see everything worked, solved a few problems. And 6:30 that day, Boris announced the lockdown and we were ready. And it was a great achievement, one I honestly, in a million years, never thought would be on the agenda.
No, absolutely. I don't know about you, that working from home as a business owner, working from home was almost slack, wasn't it? It's almost like you're going to work from home, of course you're dead on you. Yeah, you're going to sit, the good old days of sitting in your onesie watching Jeremy Carl.
Yeah, that's what I suppose you all had that picture. And if I'm honest, if it wasn't the circumstances that surrounded it, if we suddenly said one day none of this happened, right, guys, I'm going to let you work from home. I've got great people that work for me, but would they take their foot off the gas? You know, in an office, you do, you start talking to people, you start chatting to your colleague, you get distracted. That's why you have managers that want the better saying. But it worked. And everyone worked from home and we all logged on. And that was sort of like stage one. And then you had, for us, I suppose, 2 problems at that point. One, the internet just wasn't up to it. You know, I know when I returned to the office, a couple of people I'd spoken to every week went, oh, you suddenly have edges. Because every video call I'd done, I was blurred. I didn't realise that, but you lost calls, you lost connection, and people were dropping calls. So it wasn't great customer service. But it was that sort of reality check, getting used to it. But the first biggest challenge for us, about a week of working remotely, all thought it was, great, we've achieved it. Then, of course, lenders pulled from the market. We are, as a broker, only as good as the lenders that we represent.
On that, I see quite regularly that you're posting in terms of speaking to new funders, and I think you call them partners when they come in. So what are you managing to fill a lot of gaps, or is it just seeing who puts their head above the parapet that you can try and get on board?
2 very different sides to it. So lenders, we're a broker, so we place a client with a lender. So without the lenders are almost our supply and our partners of the demand. So we've had a good core of partners for many years, and the biggest success of lockdown has been the amount of partners we have added. So for all the stages, so lenders hold one or the other. Every lender that we work with across secured lending, across personal lending, and across bridging finance made changes. About half paused, of which the majority, I'm pleased to say, have now returned. All of the others made mass changes to reduce. At first, mid-March, we won a half, and they thought they'd have to make changes. And I remember saying to many, if you did nothing, you would half your volume. And mass changes, and they went down to 10%, 15% of their original lending volumes. And then it's just been a balancing act. April was very much clouded by your pipeline business. You had business going on that was still being honoured, provided it met certain criteria. So April, you didn't really see the full impact of COVID. May was tumbleweed time. You still had customers coming in, but nowhere near the volume you did, because the spread of wealth and lead generation had really slowed down. But then you had all the lender problems, you had all the lender challenges, change criteria, extra things put in place to ensure people were working and not furloughed. And then, of course, you had customer uncertainty.
Massive.
Even the customer that said, yeah, I'm fine, I'm unaffected, when it actually came to a loan completing, with everything else going on and all the negatives you permanently had, it made it a lot more challenging for them. Everything. Just May was the toughest month. But my personal, so I've got a team around me that work cases day to day. I'll help on a sticky deal, but that's not predominantly what I do.
Yeah.
What I do is to bring new partners in. And April, May and June, I'm going to look back on very, very positively from this front, because suddenly everyone picked up the phone. Suddenly everyone replied to your LinkedIn request. Suddenly everyone was open to new ideas. I spent the whole of April, May, June on the phone, talking to new people. I joked one day, I'd done 6 Zoom calls almost back to back with either brand new people I'd never met before, or someone maybe I've met one before. And look, it's hardly like a day on a building site. But at the end of it, I was exhausted because, I'm a talker. I keep the conversation going. But then I thought to myself, well, in the real world, I wouldn't have been able to do 6 face-to-face meetings. I wouldn't, photography-wise, wouldn't have to do it. Timing-wise, to get 6 people all timed in one after the other would have been almost impossible. We've over doubled the number of partners who introduced business to us. 14-year-old business in 3 months. Everyone is open to ideas and suggestions. And a lot of what we do, certainly on the personal loan side and the origination side, is online. And of course, that's the key at the moment. Yes, we have a call center that works for the fulfillment, but it really did open doors that may not have been open, or we just wouldn't have been able to capture people's attention.
There's a lot of cliches. This wall behind us, by the way, is all office cliches, and can't ignore the elephant room. I don't like cliches, in the main, but that's what that is. But there were the cliches of unprecedented times, right? Which I don't like. You get struck that. I also hate the word during on that sort of block, right? And it's a truth. And so but it was so important the way it changed for our team. It was brilliant because we sat down before the lockdown again on the 23rd of March there, and then you all looked at one another, but I think we gave the right direction brilliantly. They ran with it, which I think your team there did as well. And bits you've been telling me on the products, Matt. What are you? Are there new entries into the market at all? Are they bottom feeders? Where it's troubling times, or are the major banks holding back?
No, I would say it's across the board. So we haven't, as such, taken on any brand new lending. No one has emerged into the market as a brand.
Right.
You had the core lenders in second charge secured loan lending. There's 18, 19 lenders.
Right.
There's probably about 5 that are still paused.
Right.
But I'd say over half continue to lend, just with a lot of restrictions. For us, our panel, everyone is now back. We were very lucky with lenders like Evolution Money and Equifinance, who opened their doors to us right at the start of coming back. They just all made huge reductions in the criteria, the equity they would lend to. Not so much rates. We weren't seeing lenders hike up rates.
Right.
It was a real sensible, we need to contract our lending for lots of different reasons. You had not being able to get valuers out effectively. Not as much as, say, bridging, which came to a halt without lending. Secured loans does use AVMs and automated valuation, so we were able to carry on, but it slowed things down. You had the securitization market has been hit quite a lot. What's there, as the doors are shut for a while, now they're starting to open back again. So that made lenders think, well, we had to make our lending last. You had funders telling their lending partners, be cautious. How can you lend sensibly during a time, if you think back to April and May, it was a real unknown. This was a disease that lasted for 2 weeks. If you don't have symptoms for 2 weeks, you haven't got it. Yet we're in lockdown for 8-9 weeks. Nobody knew. And it wasn't down to anyone's fault. Everyone was learning. I massively praise the government. I know everyone can fault anything, but overall, a massive.
There's no book for this. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But you've got suddenly everyone's a bloody expert, though. Going back to a point you raised there, and there was never one bit of positive news for 3 months.
Yeah,
it was devastating time. Sure, and if you got it, and unfortunately you passed with it. The interesting one we did last week with David Buick, I referred to him in that chat there. David's a city commentator. He's 76 years of age. He used the phrase. He said, "Look, I know I'm on the substage, okay, but we've thrown the economy off the side of the cliff for what are terrible 1,200, no pre-existing condition deaths. Everybody else, bless them, were on that way and going anyway. And it's that. So nobody can call it. I don't care who or what they say. There'll be the odd cock up. But geez, there wasn't a checklist here. But with the products, in terms of what you're doing there, and that, are you still able to get the bridges out? Bridges, is that the mainstay of your business?
That mainstay would be secured loans, like homeowner loans.
Yeah.
Looking to raise money to improve their property, which is obviously quite popular at the moment because people have spent so much time at home. And probably the so-called baby boom will affect that in the next year or so as well, as people need extra bedrooms. Personal loans and bridging loans. The bridging loan market, it really wanted, like all of the lending to deal with, no one wanted to slow down. Everyone was positive going into this year, and everybody that we deal with has fought to get back within their own sort of different parameters. With regards to bridging, the value has hit them the worst. Mm-hmm. When you're lending on a secured loan, it's a house in a row of terraced houses. You can use an automated valuation.
Yeah.
When it's a bridging loan, it's a project. It's about, here's a building, gutting it, refurbing it, knocking it down, rebuilding it, changing it from a shop to 9 flats.
Yeah.
Value has to go out. It has to say, this is what it's worth. This is what it's worth at different stages. So whilst a few lenders did adapt, the majority of the bridging market had to pull. They carried on with the existing product, used their pipeline, but without a valuer to actually go out in the building. And you can't blame valuers for not.
And the backdrop the bridges have got is, you want, obviously it's all about exit. And so that's obviously, how can you predict? And there's a stage we come back to it later in this chat, and we call it Mystic Meg. What is the exit strategy? You don't know, do you? One thing we're coming across, I don't know if you're finding it, so I was reading the press again the weekend about lenders are getting rid of the bank, mum and dad, to put down the deposit. Right. I think Nationwide particularly pulled that completely. My fear in all of this is when, unfortunately, the recession really bites and you start losing the jobs. I think mainly for our younger people, you're younger than I, despite your looks. Make sure you pay attention. No, but when they start losing their jobs, I think the bottom end of the markets can be really hit. Not bottom in terms of judging them as people, but entry level into the markets can be very tough. Secured lending, I think, several days. On that particular point, if I may, Matt, sorry, we will see, and I think we discussed it briefly in one of our chats, and I don't know where it sits now, but next year I think is going to be fairly feral in terms of legal actions, and that's what we deal. We deal in debt problems. I think there's going to be a lot of demand for releasing equity from properties. They may have all the value, but they're never going to have the income to go with it. It's going to be. I think that's going to be, if there is a product out there, that's a bit sort of fairy godmother time, but that will be, I think it's going to be a real big one next year.
Yeah, so all of the products we offer, with the exception of bridging, are assessed against income. So the reason the personal loan market has probably been hit the most is because not only is there no asset to secure against, but also they try to automate the checking of an income. Now, one lender put it early April. How can they, via automated methods, confirm someone is working? They may well have been paid at the end of May, but then furloughed in April. We now have a track history. One of the things we've seen is open banking is becoming bigger and bigger. We've partnered with Credit Kudos, one of the first to add that into our personal loan journey.
What does that mean, open banking, sorry?
Open banking is where we majority of us done it nowadays, where you have an app on your phone for your bank, and you're able to see all your transactions within it. Well, open banking allows a lender, so you go through a journey, and that's what we've used Credit Kudos. So I won't get too technical because I'll get lost. But at the moment, so traditionally, you fill in some details to apply for a loan, and you give permission for a credit score. So that means that the lender is basing their lending on your credit score, your income, which they're able to check with various methods, your geography, hard facts. Now we're adding open banking to that. So they're also able to look at your banking transactions for the last 12 months. Now that will have good and bad. It will show people that have overspent or gambling or living in their overdraft that maybe a credit search won't show, but it'll also show people who don't have a lot of credit but have disposable income. And as the market continues, those people will be far better serviced going forward because open banking is now comparable. Open banking has been around for a few years now. It's definitely going to have a boom over the next 12 months because of that sort of up to the minute information it can give you on someone's finances more than a credit search.
Yeah, and so that open banking is clues in the name. In terms of COVID-19, we discussed briefly there in terms of the ramifications of what there. Have you been affected personally at all of it? Did you, apart from the threat of lockdown, or anybody?
Personally, health-wise, I'm pleased to say that everybody took the right precautions, and we were
very good.
We had one member of our team very early on, we believe, caught it. She was slightly older than the majority of the office, and was off towards the end of March and was really poorly. But at that time, you had to almost be dropping dead to be able to go to the test. And she was 61 years old, woke up in the middle of the night having breathing problems, called 111, and it was a case of, we'll call as if it happens again. That's when the pressure was really on. Other than that, no friends, no family have got it.
Yeah, good.
Thankfully, Touchwood has passed away, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, we had it. I must put in now. Our COO had it. She's not in that risk group. She's not old, because if she heard this, she'd knock me out tomorrow. So, but no, to Touchwood, we've heard very few people. I know. Again, David Buell referred it to the other day, and the average age of those unfortunately passing with COVID is 81.
Yes.
So it's not good, not right, but it gives a bit of context. I think the context of what we had, I don't know why the government held back quite so much on that. It would have been, I suppose you could, otherwise we would have had all the scenes of, although they were adopted, the scenes of Bournemouth Beach and things like that. Yeah. So that's good, thanks for that. So good products going on, you're in fairly good form. What about the team? How are they good? You've got more or less everyone back? I'm not asking for who had to go, whatever. No. Good team, right?
Right, so we've got no redundancies or a threat of any, which is firstly the most important.
Perfect.
Furlough was fantastic for us. If it hadn't been for furlough, at some point in April, we'd have had to make some very tough decisions and put people in a lot worse situations than were. We furloughed people at the start of April once the lenders had pulled. If you don't have the products, we've got nothing to sell. So we kept a core team on. And that has chopped and changed a little bit around. We've obviously looked at the needs of the business, but also we've tried to support those who've got kids, because until schools go back, the world is not going to get back to normal until that point. So we've been as flexible as we could be, as we had children. And so we were out for one of the shorter periods. So we aren't key workers. So when we were supposed to be at home, we were. I think it was the 10th of May, Boris made that first announcement when stay at home became stay alert. And then by the end of that week, we had hopefully you've seen the pictures on social media. We didn't just cordon off desks. We removed. We made rows of desks. Everyone had a desk and then a desk in front of them that was a safe zone. Everyone was 3 meters apart with a walkway. And even now, they're still 1.5 meters, 2 meters apart. And our office, you walk through it like a gearbox. There's one way up and down, and then in and out like a gearbox. There's a strict way that you walk. We put handles on the foots of the door, so you can open doors with your feet, and all the handles have copper on them. Signposted throughout. We made every possible thing. We put a little sink that you turn on with your knee to wash your hands when you walk into the office. So a little soap dispenser, wash your hands with your knee, you're not touching anything. It's a bit like an episode of Grey's Anatomy or ER where you're walking out the doors.
Absolutely. Flicking taps on and off.
Yeah, and we talked throughout. I think the key, going back to that point, was communication. I believe we communicated well at the start of lockdown, and then as we returned to the office, we were emailing the team, talking to them on Zoom calls, a couple of weeks before, saying it's our intention, if it eases, to be back in the office. A lot of what we do is collaborative, and I've used this phrase a lot. When you work a secure loan, 5-6 people work on it. Right. And you need to talk. You have the advisor, you have the packager, you have the admin person, you have the underwriter, you have the person that does the fact find at the start. And having to talk across Zoom calls, being in different offices, was a different challenge. Yes, we made it work and we continually adapted. But once we were allowed back in the office, we did it. We made all the changes we could possibly think of. And we spoke to all the staff individually, gave them a chance to ask questions. And the first day, people walked in. Some were desperate. Some were like, oh, thank God I can't work.
Yeah, a lot of our guys were.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you had ones who were cautious. We had nobody who was, I'm not coming back at all. I haven't had that. I'm not saying everyone's been, spot on, but the majority of people have wanted to return to the office and have been as soon as they're asked, bang, they come in. And that first day, people walked through, and the feedback we had was superb. We had created as much as possible from unskilled wallies like us, I am absolutely no pandemic expert, and hope I've never tried to pitch myself as. But we listened to the advice, we read it several times, we made every change we could. We published what we were doing so other people could see it and give them ideas, and that I think definitely helped. Very positive emails, and as a result, we've got 25 staff back in the office. It's got back to the point to nice buzz, and everyone feels safe coming into work. And we thought the challenge would be more maintaining it. It's not. You know,
what outside the office? What is Watford like? Is it quiet? Is it?
We actually took the team out for a few drinks on Friday night, the second time, and you have to book the venue. When you get there, they wash your hands, they take the temperature, and they go through the rules. And it's very much about staying in your area. There's a bubble here at Work now, so it's only people who work. And I remember the manager saying, look, here's your area, here's chairs, please remain seated. If you need anything, here's the app. You know, if you go to the bar, follow the spacing for the queue, which in normal times would be really weird. But now it was nice to be out. It was nice to have that interaction again. Watford over the years, certainly me growing up, was an area with a lot of pubs in a very small space, and you still have to go up to get in pubs. I remember doing that in my 20s. You don't so much now. Generations have changed. They come out later. But it isn't anywhere near what it was. But everyone's still just so pleased to be open. I have a friend of mine who owns several pubs. And I doubt he's doing the trade he was doing in December. But he's open again. He's trading. He has a business. And everyone's costs are down.
And he's got cash flow back in. That's the killer. When nobody knew, it had been the same with you, it had been the same with us. You didn't know when it was going to kick, when the tap was going to. You were doing some business, you went along, but you didn't know when the taps were going to come back on. And we're in Belfast here, we're a city, a metropolitan of about 500,000 outside. So we're just going like that because that's where the main square is.
Over there.
It's just over that, So it's like a market town. There's nobody. Now we've got a bit of bad weather. This is where businesses will struggle again because nobody's going to go outside a shop or a bank or a dealer. And then you go to Leeds where we've got a small office. It is dead. Absolutely dead. A busy city, 1.5 million. You can park where you like. Literally park where you like. Do I need a ticket? Don't know. No, I don't need a ticket. Cool. And again, keep it on about a couple of the guys I've been talking to. There's almost like somebody said, there's almost like a social responsibility that we need to get back to work. We created this environment outside the pubs, the bars, restaurant, cafes, etc. And just because we decided we know how to make a sandwich and make a nearly decent coffee, doesn't mean we should. I think we've got. Otherwise, we're going to lose what's been created in terms of town centre. You're in a decent sized town there. That's why I was asking that background. On a bit of a positive note, right? So, in terms of you and your team there, done brilliantly, got through it. And created what you have there, kept it there, had to change and adapt. What do you see the pluses are, if any? Not the obviously there's a terrible, keep saying there's a terrible condition of COVID. But what have you learned about yourself to a degree and your team?
I learned that you've definitely built a camaraderie. Everyone talks about teamwork. Every LinkedIn talks about what an amazing team we have. And we all know you can portray a certain image on social media. We all do it on Facebook, personally, Instagram, but work-wise. I overall have seen a great unity of people. Did you ever think in 2020 people would be going on social media begging to be able to go back to work? That didn't change. So there's been a real effort and pulling together. The longer it goes on, it becomes harder because people are getting used to working from home. I'll say for the record now, it drives me nuts. People talking about how they want to work from home, how they've seen a great work-life balance. Great for your personal life. Overall, that's not great for your work life. And I do not see if this is over in 6 months' time, a year from now, everyone's still working from home. At the end of the day, people need to work in an office. You need to be able to collaborate. You need to work together. You need to motivate. At the end of the day, you only have managers because people do need that kick up the arse every now and again. And sitting at home with all the distractions might be great for your work-life balance. Is not great for the economy. And I am tired of hearing people say, it's been fantastic working from home. It works for me personally. It's how I was going to do. Reality check for me, that's not how it's going to be going.
I think they're going to have a lot of problems. As you say, this period we've had here is where, and we've got quite a few of our team, I'll put it out, they struggle a bit being at home alone. Almost, So you've got a guy there, youngish guy, working in his one-bed flat and sitting in the same four walls every day. And you can nearly sit in sometimes, almost like Pavlov's dog when the phone rang up to Zoom. Oh, someone's ringing me. Here we go. Yeah, it's cool. It's massive. Something I listen to quite a bit. I'll just keep my brain fresh. I listen to quite a bit of Tony Robbins. He says we're not weak. We're made to be weak. We're made to be nearly bordering on useless. We need to be told. We don't need to be told everything. We know we're social. The key thing is that came from this: we're social animals. We might be shy, but we still want to be in groups of people. We might spout off. We are not built to sit in a darkened room and live our life like that. Going back to your saying, life-work balance, what? So you walk the dog 3 times instead of twice, you get them to sneak a walk. It's rubbish, like you say. And that will badly affect the economy. Some of the decisions being made here. I'm a little bit anti-civil servant, and trying to get those people back to work is going to be really hard.
Yeah,
really hard.
there is definitely, if someone's confident they've been paid throughout and they haven't ever had that thought that their job's going to go, there is a thought process with some, and I don't think it's right with many, is that, oh, I quite like this working from home. I'm getting paid. I can live with this. Reality check. This is completely and utterly unprecedented. It has caused a recession. At some point, all of this money has got to be recouped and paid back. Yeah. Businesses, have been fantastically supported, but bills are now coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And paying back things like HMRC, which maybe you're a bit late paying before, have still got to be paid. Yeah. And no, it's not going to work for the majority working from home. It's about trying to push the barriers. And I've tried to do that all the way along. We were one of the first back at the office at the right time. We're trying to bring people back as soon as the business volume's there. And it is a staged process. If you follow the rules, you can still go out. You can go to beaches. You can go to pubs.
Absolutely.
And most of the businesses and shops and pubs I've been in have made are making it work. And if it wasn't for the idiotic press putting out there, a shot of a beach so it looks like everyone's together, but actually from a different angle, the world's spelled apart.
Absolutely.
Apparently, Cornwall is the next area where there's going to be a mass outbreak. Actually, I know a lot of people in Cornwall that lived there and been down there, and they said what has been reported in the media is absolute rubbish. It's been calm, it's been managed. Everyone's going to have little spikes on the first day back, but I've overall seen people adapting and following the rules. Yeah. I've followed the rules. I've been out. I honestly feel perfectly safe in what I've done. And the majority of people, and at the end of the day, you see the odd people not doing it. Well, that's fine. That's up to them. Doesn't mean you suddenly go, sod it.
Absolutely. Bit of responsibility, which again, which I think we've learned over the time. Not a political statement at all, but the continuing reinforcement. One thing Boris and Dominic Cummings does, they keep that message, don't they? Keep it going, stay alert. Someone said, what does that mean? And a friend of mine, who will remain nameless, is deaf in one ear, so he shouts, unfortunately. Big rugby player. So he was, what he got the other day, walking down the road, and somebody's on their mobile phone, texting away, not even walking straight, all over the place. And he just shouted, stay alert. That's what he means. That's what he means, stay alert.
I remember at Sainsbury's, my weekly shop, because I did shopping with my mum. She's only 71 and a very young 70, but she did that 12 weeks stay at home. So every week I went and did shopping. And I remember there was this sort of older guy, he worked for Sainsbury's, he had the customer, and he just walked around all the time going, 2 meters, stay 2 meters, social distancing. Things I've got, I almost going there, not there at the moment, shouting it. You heard it all the time. He just used to walk up and down all day.
It works. We need it because it's such a sea change. We're all back at the same earlier. We're social animals. We like to mix. I'm a great shaker of hand. Right? I'm massively missing.
Oh, yes.
And I tell you what, I'm going to need a dermatologist. All these different gels you go to these sort of places. It's either you've got leprosy or your skin starting to take its toll.
The shaking hands thing, I so agree. When you see someone you haven't seen for a while, we had a new starter and joined us today, and she's come in and she sort of stood a couple of meters apart, and it's like hi, and you wave. You want to welcome someone. You want to shake their hand. That's how I grew up. My dad taught me you shake someone's hand firmly. It's important. When you meet someone, it's what you want to do, and not.
But your wave is almost like a bit of a cold fish, isn't it? Sort of, you
wave on a Zoom call when you finish a Zoom call and you go bye.
I do that meetings now. Go like that as well. Even just in meeting, but it's tough change. But I think that's a good thing. The other thing I think as well, Matt, is there is a lot of cash still out there in terms of the economy, what the government's done over the years, right?
Yes.
As long as the banks, so after the 2008 recession, which you have gone through as well, the banks held on to anything. That's the flourishing peer-to-peer market that came back in to fill that gap. There is a lot of cash out there. not necessarily the right places, although Rishi's doing his best to divvy it out if he can. And so we'll see how that pans. I don't think it's not going to save a recession, but if we're done, as you said, if we come for full redundancy and that's the end of the thing, that 20% would have been nothing.
Yeah.
We were talking, it's quite embarrassing the other day. So when we were speaking to David Tate, so I've been following quite a bit, obviously the financial press and keeping up to speed. So you had your man from Bank of England, Andy Haldane, the chief economist, saying it's going to be a V-shaped recovery. I wrote a blog suggesting he may not be of this earth, possibly taking on hallucinogenic substances, etc. Right? We said, yeah, V, but that's not a V, that's a big tick. Then the other day, talking to David Tate, he's saying, right, yeah, okay, and he's just been appointed to the Bank of England Commodities Committee, and I was sitting with Andy Haldane, and I said, orcs. Your man Haldane, he said it was. I said, I thought it was deluded coming out of that V-shaped recovery. I think we're going to get that big swoosh, the old Nike swoosh, where it's just going to be ugly next year, particularly. Start, come back. But it's that. There's the fear of what's going to happen with the recession. Nobody knows Nobody knows what's going to happen in any recession. Yeah. You survived. Sorry, you survived the 2008 one. Were you self-employed? Did you have your own business then? Or
Yeah, we started in 2006. So Sam and I were quite naive, and at that point, and we ran a business that had 2 good years. People go, "Oh, it was so easy back then." I remember working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week when we started this business. So it wasn't easy, but it was easier. And of course, the credit crunch came for us, and we didn't have a Scooby what we're doing. We didn't know. We just every day adapted. We faced every challenge. We got the team involved. We were lucky. We were a team of 12 at our peak. And again, we didn't have to make redundancies at that time. We brought everyone in. Everyone knew everything coming in, everything going out. You know, there were some scary moments on payday where, going back in that day, lenders would pass by a check they sent in the post. And NatWest, who are our bank still now, quite often would honour that check before it's cleared so we could pay people on time. That was a very different scenario where people had a very small amount of money from a lender's point of view and had to make it last because people weren't renewing funding lines. This is not the same in my humble opinion. People still want to spend. People, up at this point have been being paid. So the money is still there. And, there was so much good stuff at the start of the year with the new government and with Brexit sort of being done. It was all looking at the positives. And what I've seen to this point is once it's safe, everyone wants to get moving again as quickly as possible. There isn't a ton of bad debt at this point. So it just depends on how long this goes on for. The key factors at the moment, the school's going back in September, which will allow people to return to work that haven't until this point. And then, of course, the end of October, if furlough ends at that point, where that drop off is, which I suppose it will be staged over the next couple of months because of the employer contribution. And it's
Rishi staged it all that, hasn't he? You're furloughed to get us to October. You've got the Sybil's that'll be next year, and the Bibbles, whatever happens to them, which is a car crash, unfortunately, wait to happen, but that's it. Just in terms of where you are, and obviously you keep yourself up to speed, so a little bit we're going to call it mystic meg round, right? Okay. So it's very difficult to see where the recession, the economy's going on backdrop of the recession. Where do you see it? So we're doing a bit of a V and a swoosh and everything else. What's your, have you got a model there you're working and saying, like, this happens, or are you not not sophisticated, but is it too difficult to do what you do?
You know what? My honest view, look, we don't run a business that's turning hundreds of millions with, it's a smaller business. We don't have a 3-month plan at the moment. We have a good, solid business that I believe has survived the worst without any debt. So we sit here now, no debt, happy to move forward. July was a very positive month. The results were positive. So June was positive, but it was all talk. July, positive results. All has started. Every week on week is better than the last. Brilliant. Our plan is we look at what's happening as it happens and we adapt where we need to. We're aware of what we can do, what we can't do. And that 100% is how we go forward. There is no point in me as a broker, a loan broker, making a 6-month plan because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. What I've seen is, as I say, schools going back, furlough ends. That will make, when furlough ends, it will give lenders more confidence because you either job or you haven't. I appreciate the wider economy and how that affects people, but from a lending point of view, after October, going into November, December, and then next year, you at least know where you stand. You either have an income, or you don't. So there'll be less customers to go for or to lend to, because they, you don't have a job. But there are new businesses for, I know a lot of businesses are, you watch LinkedIn, the amount of people saying that they're looking for work, but to the same token on LinkedIn, how many people are starting new roles? It's not quite balanced each other out, but there are definitely positives out there. So there's going to be a lot of change and people adapt, which is good because people don't like change and adapting, despite what they say. You tell someone at work, I want you to help out in another team prior to this. Oh, well, I like my job. I don't want to do that job. No, you don't have that anymore.
No.
Everyone pulled their sleeves up and mucking in. So I think my overalls are, I see continued positives in the lending market, provided there's no big economical change, provided, the housing market doesn't drop, which at the moment is holding strong. So that's key.
On that, Matt, that's going to be the real tricky one, isn't it? That's going to be there's so many components to the housing market now. It's such a complex thing, but they're obviously a huge buy to lets, and where they've had the opportunity to, or not opportunity, or people are available, so it's not paying the rent. Commercial properties, obviously, you're in an office there, we're in an office here, it's shot completely. When you've got the likes of Schroders, Citibank here in Belfast aren't going back to 2021. And then you've got, like I alluded to earlier, the first-time buyer market. Is it too generalised to say property will do this or property will do that? How do you see the property market? You're closer with the values.
I see it as a continual thing that needs to be managed. What have they done so far? You had the return of valuations and mortgage transactions and stuff, so that created a boom, and let's report that boom and show confidence. You've then had the stamp duty changes, which again has given confidence. Trying to sell a house for myself, and we had someone that had the valuation done in March, dragged it all through lockdown, despite being an empty house because it's a second property, and they right at the end came out of it and tried to get another 10, 15 grand off, to which we went, there's no evidence that it's dropped in value. The demand is still there. It's about constantly watching. As it stands at the moment, that the demand hasn't slowed down, and Rightmove and Zoop are reporting that. Transactions are picking up pace. The value of properties isn't dropping. We have properties valued every day, and we aren't seeing, which we worried about at one point, where you get that line from a surveyor that says, we've reduced the value of this property by 15% as a result of COVID. We aren't seeing that because there's nothing. There's no evidence that properties have dropped.
Because that's very often the valuers get spooked, don't they? As soon as you start seeing the rich guys start firing out the reports and stuff like that.
Lenders have sued them in the past for maybe bad decisions, or maybe decisions, they're not experts. They walk out and they value 4 walls and they see gold nearby. They're not, they're not Mystic Meg, as you said it. They have to go with their impression, but we aren't seeing that standard line saying I've downvalued it because this and that, because there's no evidence yet to do it. And while the stamp duty stays, the changes stay there, it's clearly motivating the market. And as long as that stays, from a secured loan point of view, it's one of the biggest factors and one of the biggest differences from the credit crunch of 2008, because property prices just plummeted. There's nothing. So that's and
again, the availability of funds seems to be there. Obviously, the lender's got to tighten and change their criteria wherever they're going, but there is the money there. 2008 just stopped, didn't it? That was the end. There was a great analogy, a Spanish solicitor. We did quite a bit in Spain in terms of people who bought property way back in the day, but struggled with them to get rid of them. And there was a solicitor said, it's a bit like a dream. Back then, it's a bit like a dream. Remember, you have that dream and you fall, and you don't make any noise for a while, then you start screaming. I said, yeah. He said, we're not screaming yet. He just says he was just so early in what was going on. It just got off. I still see it at NSA. I think there's going to be a bit of sociological change in terms of society, what's going to happen. I'm a little bit worried about that, the backdrops are there, and what it's going to do to people. But at the end of the day, what you're saying, it's good to hear from you guys, what you're doing there, that's going on. Right, Mr. Tristram, we'll let you go here, but we have a quick fire round. One of those bots. I'm not a robot. Okay, so this is how we go. So I have to read this. Excuse my look here. Red, white, or beer?
Red. It's been the saviour of lockdown.
Go to red.
Barolo.
Myself. Favourite sport?
Football.
Right.
Why do you? Sorry, snooker in the last 2 weeks has been amazing. Ronnie again.
Genius.
barking mad, but absolutely.
Absolutely. That was great the other day. When he said Morris, everyone's crap.
Yeah.
That's great. And meant it, listen. Right, sports, so you football mainly. Why do you, no, total question, why do you support Chelsea?
My dad was a Chelsea fan.
So it's genetic. We call it genetic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like Watford, but I'm far happier being a Chelsea fan.
Cool. Next holiday?
Not planned at the moment. Probably Cornwall.
Very good. Favourite social media platform and why?
LinkedIn. Because it's the truest of them. It's fact. Twitter I find offensive. I've almost got Twitter. Facebook, all right. Instagram's pretty pictures. LinkedIn has a purpose. It seems to be true. You can talk.
Yeah, very good. Two final ones. So this is me being your fairy godmother. You're having a dinner party. Who would be the most entertaining person you could think to ask? Mine personally is Billy Connolly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mourinho.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, maybe Jose Mourinho, Ronnie O'Sullivan, barking mad, not know what he's going to come out with.
And Barolo by the pint.
Absolutely. Well, I believe Mr. Mourinho does like a nice bottle of red.
I think he's partaken there at Old Trafford a couple of times.
Yeah, might bring a good bottle along.
Then the final question, if I may, is, which slightly helps us, is there anyone you suggest we can have on a podcast?
Oh.
No, now I know you're a bit nervous and edgy. Not nervous, but not unsure what we can do. But the tone of it is chatting. It's not, not great form to it at the moment. But it's so it's anybody who can have a chat with us.
Oh, I don't know. I'd put on the spot. My brain has gone dead. But it would definitely be somebody who talks absolutely, and it'd be someone random. It's the same people all the time on lots of.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to mix it up a bit in terms of what we do.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry.
I will come back. I'll send you a recording of who I think's the best person.
No, don't worry about the recording. We'll update
the last question.
This is quick fire, so it's a bit harsh. Anyway, Matt, thanks very much for your time. It's great, brilliant. Good luck. Well done, really well done with the team there. And we'll keep in touch and see if we can develop a bit more business as well going forward. So
thank you very much.
And all stay safe there at Loans Warehouse and get some business done, yeah?
Thank you very much. We will do.
Good luck. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.